everybody, it's Drybear. We got a hotfix for the First Descendant this morning, and it is a doozy of a hotfix that makes the game even more enjoyable to play and to farm. So let's dive into what the changes were. Now, there's a couple changes in here that are my absolute favorite. I'm super excited for the changes that are in this patch specifically. The biggest one for me is going to be that they've lowered the cooldown on all outposts from 5 minutes to 1 minute. So this means that you basically can sit at an outpost, check your gear, fix your loot, whatever, and start the outpost again. So this is an outpost we have here. If we want to finish it off real quick and let it end, and we can go to the map and we can very clearly see that this is now a 1 minute timer. So this will reset very quickly. You don't even really have enough time to run over to the reactor and get it done. And like, as you come back and arrive, the outpost will be resetting. Like, the timer difference is amazing, and it makes that process so much better. And actually, honestly, it felt like 5 minutes was just a weird number to choose. Obviously they wanted you to run around the area, do the reactor, do the void fragment, do the outpost, you know, maybe do a mission or something and then come back. But 5 minutes was just ridiculous. So now you don't have to do any tricks. You don't have to load. It's now a 1 minute timer, which is very easy to reproduce and continually farm, which I think makes the whole loop a lot better. Then they also increased the spawning time between monster respawn, and the reward amount had been adjusted to the Vulgus strategic outpost. So this was a problem at some of the outposts. I think there's some people that were complaining that on some of the outposts, when you went into it, if you weren't like over geared for it, the spawn rate of the monsters was so rapid, you'd have to just get burning down by the adds rather than being able to do the actual generators that you had to destroy or fight the elite. There was just too many mobs. And I think they also wanted to adjust some of the situations like the Valby farm, where when you go in circles, the spawn rate of the monsters is so high, you could just run the timer and burn it and get all of that. So I think what they wanted to do was increase the respawn time for the overall outpost, but also reduce how fast the mobs spawn inside the outpost, so they kind of balance out the rewards to be closer to what they're looking for. So let me know if this ends up being a better overall change for you, especially when it comes to farming the outpost. On top of that, they have made a small amount of void fragments drop in special operations. So if you're doing defense operations or the lab operations, or they even mentioned the neutralized void experiment, if you're doing any of those, you will actually get a small amount of void fragments while doing so. They also increased the max module storage limit from 1,000 to 1,500. So a 50% increase in the module storage. I think this was needed. It probably actually needs to be closer to 2,000, just for the sheer fact that there are so many duplicates, right? For each ammo type, for each of the 4 ammo types, there are many duplicates of the same exact module for weapons, and there's descendant differences as well. So you end up collecting a large mass of modules you want to keep and keep upgrading, or modules that you want to put together on different weapons. So because there's so many duplicates, I'm glad they increased this, so you don't have to like go back as often and remove them, or make the hard decision of destroying some modules that you may would have liked to hold on to for future theory crafting or future builds you haven't started yet, just because you're running out of space. They've also added a new tier of mark for arrest. There's the high value mark for arrest. So mark for arrest will give 100,000 gold when it's used in the consumable tab, and the high value will be 1 million gold. And I was hoping that some of the ones I was holding on to, like these, would be converted, but no, these are still just mark for arrest. These just give 100,000 gold. So if you consume these, you get 100,000 gold. But then there's now a high tier, a yellow version of it, that when you consume it, it'll give you 1 million gold. And these come from these special operations, which makes them a little bit more viable than just XP farm, because you'll now get a steady supply of void shards and a little bit more gold than before. And this is the director's comments on the idea. They didn't want the Valby farm to exist in the state that it was in, but they didn't want to completely ruin it either. So what they did is they increased the spawn rate for the mobs, or increased the respawn time for the mobs, I should say, and then they increased the amount of rewards you get for it, and also lowered the respawn time for the outpost overall, which helps you kind of farm the same way, but a little less spammy all in one go. And instead of reverberating the Valby run to its original design intent, we have adjusted it to offer similar efficiency to other high reward hunting grounds in that specific outpost. They also shortened the cooldowns on the outpost so people can farm them more frequently. I'm so glad they did this. This was one of my biggest gripes in the game that existed. 5 minutes just felt so much like it was just wasting your time. And it was also spawning these cheats where you would like back up, start the fail timer, and right as the timer was ending, you'd kill the elite to get loot, but it wouldn't reset the timer. Or these tricks where you would teleport away, swap the public private, or swap the difficulty on the map, teleport back just to try and get the outpost to spawn faster, because 5 minutes was just staring you in the face. And they mentioned that they enjoy the feedback and they're learning what people like about the game and they're trying to reinforce it, which I think is the right direction direction and the right strategy to take with it and where they're going to go. So that is the hotfix for today. They're getting all of these really big changes in, which is going to make already makes the game a lot better. Then they dive into the week 5 update, and some of these things don't have values on them, so we're not sure how big they are, but there's some changes to some weapons. There's a preview for Luna, there's Ultimate Valby, so let's dive into these here as well. So the biggest one is going to be the new Descendant, but we also are going to get an Ultimate Valby, especially with the Valby farm becoming very popular and people building Valby mods. So we're going to be adding in Ultimate Valby. This ultimate equipment called the Sea of Emerald is fulfilled Valby's long-held desire as a nanosuit that replicates Valby's formal body color and texture. Former. I don't know. I guess she's like trapped in a body because she's actually liquid and the suit prevents her from dissolving into water. The ult mods that come with this are going to be replace the bubble bullet with a straight shooting spiral tidal wave that pulls it in, which is going to be cool. The hydro pressure bomb is the other modification, and instead of plop plop, it leaping forward and bouncing, it'll just leap forward and explode in a larger area right there, which makes it a little bit more reliable, a little bit more consistent, and hopefully this gives it a little more damage bonus as well, which makes it kind of a little bit more like a Freyna playstyle if that's what you're looking for. Then they're going to be adding Luna, which was part of the campaign. You did meet her. She had like that light yellow style suit, and she's the one that can find RK and the Iron Hearts using her Beats by Dre. She's a mad artist, and she returned to Albion after a long wandering performance. Her synthesizer gun becomes more powerful when fired in rhythm, so she has some kind of rhythm mechanics to her. It'll enhance her abilities, or allies' abilities. It seems like she's going to be kind of between like a buffing character and like an Ajax character. When she dances to upbeat music, her skill power of her allies increases. When dancing to relaxing music, they recover and resource consumption decreases. So she becomes this super awesome support character that's going to fit into that role. Her 2 unique modules that we're getting is enhances Luna's mobility and amplifies the effect range of her performance. And the second one transforms Luna from a supporter to a combat dealer. Dashes toward enemies in rhythm, dealing damage to nearby enemies when the inspiration gauge is full. Summons a stage to recover mental strength and shields. So this is how she becomes more offensive and a little more Ajax-like in that defense playstyle. The new Colossi is Gluttony. The mutated Devourer type Gluttony is a giant that indulges in void energy. It is equipped with systems to mine void energy and a cooling system to cool the heat generated during this process. You need 2 measures to withstand its cooling performance, so frost, ice, and the judgment to exploit its greedy temperament. So hopefully this one works really well. There's a brand new ultimate weapon coming as well. This one is a hand cannon named the Peace Mediator, and this one is going to be effective even with single shots, but can be unleashed with bursts of bullets to deliver powerful firepower under the right conditions. And one thing that's worth mentioning with this one as well is because we're going to have the new ultimate hand cannon that has a burst fire option. Down here, if we skip, we'll come back to the other part as well. They're also going to be improving some weapons on top of everything. There will be improvements to Enduring Legacy, Secret Garden, and Nazestra's Devotion to have more scaling with critical chance and critical damage. So having more of an option there. I think they went and saw that there's so many weapons that are very either crit focused or entirely not crit focused, and maybe they weren't happy with this split on how many were available. But the one I wanted to target on for this hand cannon in general is Greg's Reversed Fate, a tactical rifle, is going to be adjusted to activate its unique effect in more chances. It just doesn't proc enough when compared to other farming weapons like the Thunder Cage that procs 100% when you have it fully maxed out. And we're also improving the functionality of single shot weapons, allowing players to switch between single fire and burst fire. So now you will be able to swap between the 2 modes. This one's going to be fun to theorycraft because sometimes, depending on how they set this up, it could be a DPS gain or a DPS loss, depending on how they swap it out. Like, does it fire at the same rate the burst fire does? Is there enough downtime? That sort of thing. And hopefully this extends to more than just tactical rifles. Maybe there's more weapons in the game, potentially even this hand cannon that might have the option of switching from single shot to burst fire, that sort of thing. Then they're adding a new ultimate module. This one is going to be interesting to see where it lands. It will increase defense and mentality when using skills, but decrease movement speed and attack power. So your tanky, skill-focused character characters, which are going to be Luna and Ajax pretty much. You could probably work this in with Kyle as well, and maybe Essimo with some builds, but I'm curious to see where this one's going to sit overall. But if you're a very skill-focused, low mobility character, this would be an option here, and we'll just see where this works out in all of that. So that is the upcoming patch. They are also going to be next week going to be making adjustments to Valby, Blair, and Freyna, whose AoE is their main skills. They want to see their AoE get even more AoE-er, and I think this is basically in response to Bunny, in the fact that yes, Bunny is an AoE character. Yes, there are other Descendants in the game that do AoE like Bunny, but no one really does it like Bunny, do they? So I think what they're trying to do is make it so that more AoE characters can keep up, or at least hope to keep up with Bunny and Ultimate Bunny in their farming process, so that Bunny doesn't become a required Descendant for every account to reasonably farm everything in the game. But let me know what you think about this patch. The hotfix winning today, changing the outpost times to 1 minute. That's huge, getting some void fragments and void shards from the strategic events, the strategic missions. A lot of that's really great. Increasing the module storage is also awesome. And we have 1 week to go before we get Ultimate Valby, Luna, a new Devour, a new Ultimate, some new changes to weapons, and even some new modules as well. Let me know what you think down below. If you found value in today's video, leave a like down below, leave a comment for the algorithm to help this video get seen by more people, and don't forget to check out my other channels for other content and other stuff and other things.